welcome to the chat about 3D in academia. My name is Anastasia, and I am a CLO 3D designer and have been with the company for almost 2 years.
Hi, I'm Jim Simon. I'm also a CLO 3D designer, and I've been with CLO since February of 2020.
We're really excited today to talk with you guys about 3D in academia and the importance of kind of how schools have been responding to the shift in industry. 3D has really changed the process and the role that a designer has within our industry. And with that, Parsons has responded in teaching new coursework and showing students kind of the creativity they can have within CLO 3D.
We're excited to have with us two members of the Parsons faculty, Francesca Sammaritano and Soojin Kang. They're going to show us some of their work, the work from their students from the past year.
Thank you, Jim and Anastasia, for the wonderful introduction. And now I would like to introduce Soojin Kang.
Hello, my name is Soojin. Thank you, Francesca and Jim and Anastasia. Now we are going to share our Parsons Junior Year students' work. Okay, so there will be 3 students' designers' work. First work will be from Tro Lee, and second work from Javier Garcia, and third work from Brianna Zhang. And they are all junior year, and they are first time using CLO within the design studio and specialized studio. And we are going to talk a little bit more about what is design studio and what is specialized studio, but they are our core program for fashion. So first work is from Tro Lee, and then she's very inspired from the human body. So she started from her curiosity of how the human anatomy body will look like in the future, influenced by the environment and technical impact. So she started with the inspirations and collecting some images. And also she's looking at the postures and all the behaviors that we are sitting long hours in front of computers. Our eyes will going to get bigger, or head going to get bigger, or our bellies will be bigger because we are sitting too long hours and all that. So she's just like purely experiencing with what the also CLO can do with it. And then she's working also the real draping, making process and sketching and going back and forth with the research and development process. So these are her design process, and these are done in CLO. And also she's working with the 3D flat in CLO. And these are her final renderings. So you can see there are amazing, some 4 expressions, and even she created some shoes and glove, different materials, pattern makings and quiltings. And also she's utilizing the Rhino, another software, to explore some accessories. More for exploring. And some curating her own environment, presentation settings. And second one is from the Javier. He's starting from his hallucinations concept. So when the people is getting really sick, or when they have a high fever, sometimes even they get some hallucinate stage. So one of the artists is one of the artists is trying his drawing in 9 different stages, and then drawing the abstract drawings, how that hallucination stage will give you a different perspective. So that is the starting point of his exploring his concept. And then he's continuing tweaking and transforming the garment or everyday life product to see in a different perspective. So he's also making a real garment exploration by deconstructing them and sketching and real draping and bringing this back to CLO. So this is his design process of 3D sketching. And also this is the final render. And then he's playing with the different lightings, different positions and placement. And this is also very impressive that this is his very first semester using CLO. And that's the 3D flats. Okay, so our third student is Brianna Zhang. So her interest is coming from the non-spontaneous unity in social class. So different social groups interact each other. Sometimes it interacts well and sometimes it's against each other. So she wants to express that through the material exploration. So she's doing some wet felting and needle punch felting and also combining with the smocking pleating techniques and combining them all together and see what works well and what doesn't work well. But then still she's creating a beautiful impact of the fabric manipulations. So once you work with those fabrics, she's exploring in 3D dress form, and these are the small dress form. And then now she's digitizing that concept into CLO. So she's using prints and textures, and as a texture and playing with opacity and also adding the elastic to give some smocking effect. And then here is her some idea sketches and more process with the constructions. And then this is the final render. But when you go really look into that, then this is still very three-dimensional. And then she kept the felt effect of beauty of the material inside. And then she can capture all those beautiful fabric manipulations that she explored. Okay.
Jin.
Thank you, Soojin. We always love seeing the work that students do in CLO. It inspires us. It makes us excited about what we do, and we really appreciate seeing that. I'm going to now turn the microphone back to my colleague Anastasia, and we're going to open the Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah, just to reiterate, that work is amazing. I really appreciate seeing students' creativity and knowing that, you know, having access to an unlimited toolbox in 3D really allows them to take it really far. Great. Okay, so let's jump into our questions. The first one I want to ask is that, of course, we've seen technology push the fashion industry before. We saw this with Illustrator almost 15 years ago, changing how we communicate in the fashion industry. But now with 3D, we have more accurate and dynamic communication across the fashion industry. How has Parsons responded to this shift, and what curriculum emerged in response to that?
Okay, so going back to the years, you know, about 15 years ago, as you mentioned, you know, the industry standard was Illustrator and, you know, the Adobe Suite and, you know, what have you. At the time, we were also sharing this information with our students. And through the years, we also implemented programs such as Lectra, Gerber, Optitex. You know, we always offered these courses, but on a different scale. They were always electives. They were always like a you know, implementing their core classes. They were never part of core. And just to give you context, when we took it upon ourselves to really understand, you know, how important CLO 3D would be for our students, we really strategized to see what time during their education it would be the right time. So I'll just give you a quick example. We have within School of Fashion, we have different programs, right? We have some graduate programs, we have undergraduate programs, we have AAS programs. So at the time, we felt that it would be the best to bring in CLO 3D to a student who already has had a little bit of experience and knowledge in the making, draping, drafting, so that it's not, you know, in their first year that they have not yet learned the 3D making part, right? So once a student has a year of creative technical studio, industry communication, and all these other courses, then this is their sophomore year. So once they come back as juniors, we thought that would be the perfect time, because As a junior, you already have a year of understanding draping, drafting, sewing, construction, and all that. So you could be ready. And then once you're done with junior year, then you could take CLO 3D into your senior thesis and your last year. So we thought that putting this in the middle would be the perfect timing for the journey, for our students' journey. So that is why, when we offered CLO 3D as an experimental, launch, it was junior year, fall 2019, specialized studio and design studio. And Soojin and I team teach. So I teach specialized studio. She teaches design studio. So that's how we brought it to Parsons.
That's great. And just a quick follow-up, do you see your students taking that coursework in their junior year into their senior thesis? Has that work kind of already emanated past?
Yes. And that has, like I said, our premier class was fall 2019, which was really timely in retrospect. Who knew that this was going to happen? Because what happened was we taught one semester, and then come spring, we only were on campus till March 12th. So it was the 7th week of the semester. So out of 15 weeks, we taught on campus 7 weeks, and then the remainder at home. And we were just fine. Of course, we would have rather been in school, but we just transitioned without any problems. So, and just going back to what I was saying before, I lost track, but our BFA program is a 4-year program, the undergraduate program. So you have 1 year, first year, and then you come into the BFA program, fashion design. And so you'll have 3 years, which is year 2, sophomore, year 3, junior, year 4, senior. And we've had the opportunity to observe our students that went from juniors last year to now being seniors and taking the CLO 3D license. We were planning ahead. So quite a few of them are using it in their senior thesis year.
That's great to hear. That actually is a perfect segue into my next question. I wanted to talk a little bit more about how instrumental CLO was for this move to virtual learning that every academic institution faced, especially in regards to traditionally studio classes, so pattern making, draping. How was CLO the tool that allowed you to keep teaching those virtually?
Well, as I said, we transitioned really seamlessly. But then in fall 2020, what happened is the year was over. So what we decided to do was, based on the situation, we opened it up to the whole junior year, right? Whereas we had started with one section, we had 16 students in that class. Whereas now we have about, how many sections were there, Soojin? Was there
like 10 sections? Yeah.
10 sections, right? So imagine 10 sections of approximately 16 students in each section. So we opened it up to the whole of Parsons junior year, and transitioning online was really a challenge if you didn't have CLO 3D. And so we also had to transition and play with the curriculum and shift specialized studio, which is not strictly, but it was mostly making, drafting, and design studio was more like the research and the CLO 3D space. Now that shifted to specialized studio, because although we gave instructions online on draping and drafting, the focus of the making was hand in hand with CLO 3D. So that would be, and I don't know if I forgot anything Soojin,
Okay.
if you want to add anything, feel free to interrupt.
So for the first semester, the first time when Francesca and I teach CLO 3D, it was very smooth and our transition was very easy because it was small students, just 16 students, and just we are teaching them. And we had a halfway have an access to the old equipment like dress form and sewing machines. So they had a little bit of 3D works done, and then the rest of is doing the rendering part and then, you know, executing more styles in CLO. That was very smooth. But also still when we fully transit to 100% online in fall semester, there is still some difficulties, but I will still say, you know, like having full access of making 3D simulations in real time, I think that is really fascinating because without the CLO, I mean, we don't have equipment anyway, like sewing machine or dress form. And then just, if I imagine I have to draw and teach everything, just Photoshop or drawing, then I think it will be very outdated. And also it's very hard to evaluate, is my fit right? Or, you know, it's hard to make the decision making in 2D. So even we don't have a fully access to the equipment, and also we are missing a part of real making process, still the CLO 3D did a really amazing part and take a big portions to transform our curriculum and make us possible to teach online.
Great, that's awesome to hear. I'm curious about how your students responded to jumping into CLO and learning 3D. The work you shared was incredibly creative, but how was that transition, and what did CLO kind of allow them to explore within their work that they may not have been able to without CLO?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, not many people, not all the students knew about CLO or the making in 3D design process in the beginning of the semester. So that is the big, I think, chance and opportunity in the beginning, like opening the possibilities of what is the new skill set to have and what is happening in the industry. So first of all, we spend a lot of time to like showcase like works and what's happening in outside, like show other 3D designers' works. And I was inviting and sharing the link of the webinars of, you know, Arvanon was doing another like a big 3D festivals. So they were, you know, coming and joining and learning, you know, what is other 3D softwares and all that, what is the customizing avatars and environments. So they were just really you know, it was like self-educating too, and then just opening into the more possibilities in the beginning. And then later on we taught them basic and foundation skill. So it's more about like understand of, you know, how to move mouse and how to use all different tools. So yeah, walking them through with the basic tutorials. And then after midterm, they were going and working with their own concept ideas and exploring and, you know, making mistakes. So while they're making mistakes, they find like, oh, this is a cool process. This is I didn't expect this will happen. And then that opens up. So yeah, we see very positive impact from students. Even in the beginning of the semester, they say, oh, I'm not very computer person. You know, even they're the Gen Z generation. They're like, oh, I just like making hands-on. And then later they become like, I will never not use CLO, you know? I will always use CLO to create, and I will continue using it. And they keep coming back to us asking for, do we have a license for the senior year? So, you know, definitely they know the value of it, and they see the benefits of using CLO.
That's amazing. And I think the great part of that is that you can still make mistakes, but then work super accurately in CLO. So students really have those, I don't know, those design moments that you really crave in design school to happen upon design and things like that you get from draping and studio work. One of the really great things that I've seen coming out of industry using CLO is that CLO was built for apparel, but now we're seeing it used in accessories and shoemaking, millinery. Have you seen your students kind of explore outside of their apparel focus and trying to bring in those different disciplines and using it in that way?
Definitely, they're really dying to explore more into customizing stuff too. You know, like how to bring my own shoes, or even how how to bring different OBJ files, object files, and work with avatars, how to customize avatars, and, you know, like looking for the diversity of the body and different, you know, positive body impacts and all that. So, you know, we want more. And then students, they're just looking into, you know, I want to do that, I want to do that. And even like a jewelry design, you know, they do jewelry design and they do amazing product design. But shoes are a little challenging to work with the clothes so far for us. It's we're having a hard time finding tutorials out there yet because not many clothes shoes yet. So, but that's something we are looking forward. But going into the next semester, because our students just covered some basic and foundation skills, so now we are going into the advanced skills. So that is the time I'm really looking forward to see like what they really can do, you know, and pushing their boundaries because they feel comfortable using it and like what is possible now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add, Francesca?
Well, I was just going to say, I think the key here is once students get the knowledge and understand how CLO 3D works, then they're ready to move on to the animation, accessories. Some are just so talented, like Tro, who has already figured out how to put the shoes in, accessories, hats, and, you know, she put everything in there. But I just feel that once the students learn and they learn hand in hand with the making, with the pattern making, with the construction, and not strictly just CLO 3D on the computer, I think those are the most successful stories that we can share with you. Because the more advanced and the more understanding you have in the making, the more successful you will be in CLO 3D. And I know that Soojin and I always consult and, you know, discuss our students together, you know, when we give them feedback and we try to point them in the right direction or indicate where they need to brush up on and what have you. But we always find that the most successful students and the top students are always the ones that are really talented and understand and are skilled in draping and drafting. And those are the ones that are outstanding in CLO 3D. So
absolutely. And I think that when you think about CLO, it's a tool, right? And you have to be technically knowledgeable in some respects, but you can also be in CLO and push your practice in other ways. But the ability to draft in CLO, drape in CLO, and find those shapes really comes from having a technical background and understanding.
Yeah.
So CLO, you know, is geared towards a fashion tool, but we really started in kind of the gaming and animation world with our sister software, Marvelous Designer. As more and more fashion and gaming collaborations happen, have you seen your students be excited or ignited by the possibility of working outside of just the fashion industry?
So again, I think when we're going into the next semester, you know, when they explore more possibilities, then definitely it will open up their perspectives and looking for into the different avenues as well. How I see is even like because they know how to do the 3D design and working with the avatar and virtual environment. So not just in a gaming industry or fashion industry, I think maybe they can look for the software company who's creating, you know, artificial intelligence, working with the human bodies and avatars, who's going to dress all them. So I'm thinking, you know, that will open up a huge amount of, you know, more possibilities, not just like fashion, but, you know, in maybe, you know, like that, the cyber doctors or nurses, you know, who's all, you know, working with the artificial intelligence and making more realistic humans' body and like, you know, all the garments to dress them. So I think it will be more broader and wider approach to looking for a job as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not about just designing something, putting it in CLO and you're a designer. I think that this really opens up the opportunities so much more. And especially, having learned from virtual learning and transitioning to online learning, but also seeing all the companies, all the designers, and how they have adapted. And gaming and 3D design is like the norm, right? All the designers from Gucci to Prada to you name it, they either have gaming apps, they have their runway shows, which are not runway shows, but they, how they show their collections. There's just so much progress that was made within a limited amount of time, only because we didn't have a lot of choice. So they really focused in this direction, and there is so many other opportunities. You don't have to travel you don't have to be there. You can be anywhere and still design or excel in what you are doing. And the opportunities are not limited to fashion design. It could be anything really, once you grasp and understand the skill that it takes.
Yeah, I think, and CLO really unlocks that capability, starting from a fashion perspective, but then really widening your sphere and taking you out of there. I want to talk a little bit more about the timing. That those projects you showed were amazing. Those student works was really incredible. What was the start to end date for that student learning and to that project being completed and handed in? Was it just one semester, or how long did they have to learn this?
So that was 1 semester, and then 1 semester is running for 15 weeks. So when we first time teaching them, we spent like about 6 weeks to show them like a basic and foundation skill set. So because we only met once a week, and the once a week was 3 to 4 hours. So we had a full 6 weeks or maximum 7 weeks to learn and get to understand about the basic foundation skills. And then that was the midterm. And then after that, they can explore trying their own design and drafting add-ons. So the rest of the 7 weeks, last week is the final. So let's say 6 weeks. That was to create their 5 to 7 looks of renderings, or 3 to 5 looks of CLO, and rendering in different versions and angles. And also, how long it takes to render with the low spec computer. So that was also time consuming.
I'm absolutely blown away by the timeline that it went from learning just the basic skills, and then the creativity and I think the high def resolution images that they're able to create, and the full story of design that they're able to present through this tool and things like that. Yeah. Well, that's all the questions that I have for today. We really appreciate you chatting with us, and we're really excited to see more student work out of Parsons, because we've been absolutely blown away by it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for letting us talk about our students and the CLO 3D experience.
Yeah, this was great. And then without the CLO 3D, we couldn't make this revolution happen. So we really appreciate the partnership as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.